What's going on, everyone?
What's good, people? What's good?
What's good? Today we're going to be doing a show talking about how it was when the four of us were growing up. We're going to have some guests on the show as well, just talking about, you know, how we grew up and how it's turned us into the men that we are today. Talking about things like
How we avoided the pitfalls of being a youth, you know, gangs, knife, the whole shebang.
Yeah, we want to kind of keep it a deep show today, give you a real insight about where we're coming from and how we've turned out to be the men that we are today.
Just an insight to our own lives, really, and the fathers we've become, and the way our parents have raised us and how it's affected the way that we are parents today.
Yeah, still not going to be short on banter, still not going to be short on laugh, because really, that's what it was about, innit? Like, when you was growing up, we're going to be talking about the beats that you got, we're going to be talking about the discipline, the good side of things, the bad side of things, but the main thing is just to kind of get an insight about how we've, you know, kind of grow up to be the men that we are today. We've got 3 guests as well, who are going to be on the show. They come from different backgrounds, so you get their perspective on things. And yeah, man, make sure that you share, like, subscribe, click the notification bell. Yeah, get notified when we put videos up, and hopefully you'll join us for more.
And add your friends, please. You know, YouTube, Facebook.
Don't be selfish, man.
Add them all.
Sharing is caring, people. Grown-ass men.
Alright, grown-ass men in the building, make some noise! Yes, lots of energy inside. Listen, first of all, I want to welcome our guests. I'm going to get them to introduce themselves. First of all, starting to my right, we have got
William Shea Silver.
man like Justin, aka everything.
AKA everything.
How are we going to address you today? We're going to go with
God.
Justin Williams, J.
That's a God.
Silver.
The God.
Listen, let me excuse the man upstairs. He didn't mean that. He didn't mean
Nah, I
that.
didn't mean that.
I do want to
We
address
can
you.
just be Jay.
Yeah? We're going to go with Jay. With Jay.
Jay
and Justin.
All right, so to my immediate right, we have got
Chavan Young.
man like.
Yes, cool.
Man
Man
like.
here, man. Happy to be here, man. Professional boxer, GQ model, actor, and all the rest of it.
I've reeled off the credentials.
Started with the fighting as well.
And to my left, we have got.
Carlos, size dot P.
Yes.
I don't do
Don't
no
forget
special.
that dot. Don't forget that dot.
No special boxing and all that. I'm a tech man.
And obviously, before we kind of go into the topic and the subject about what we're going to be speaking about today, let's introduce our regulars. Yeah?
Yes.
Starting from my left, no cap on today. What's going on?
What's going on? You know what it is, you know, it's Mr. D. Yeah, man, just happy to have a special guest. Looking forward to this one.
What's going on, people? Rakes here, Marlon to some of those. You know how it is. Let's go.
Just waiting for that finger, boy.
I know. That's so standard.
The mix up.
And obviously, we got.
Yeah, you already know who it is. Pan-African, aka Dwayne. You know how it goes.
Yeah, and you've got myself, the host of the show, Craig, representing Grown Ass Men. Just the government today, because that's what my mum calls me. So that's what you guys can call me as well.
Arms.
Yeah. So don't start no arms. Anyway, right. Let's introduce what we're going to be talking about today. Today is it's a bit of a different show. Obviously, we've got 3 guests in here with us, but we're going to be talking about childhood. We're going to be talking about growing up, and we're also going to be speaking about how we've become the men that we are today. All right. So to kind of start things off, we want to get our guests kind of talking so you can find out a little bit more about them, and then we're obviously going to kind of get involved and tell you about us as well. Right, start off with Jay. I think this one might be a little bit familiar to some of us.
Yeah.
Where'd you grow up, bruv? And what year was it, man? Because you're like Peter Pan. I know that,
no,
you know,
I'm trying,
you're looking a bit young here, but I know
trying.
that, you know, 60s, 70s, you might have been about,
I'm trying. So, yeah, it's a different era to when you remember growing up. So, I grew up in Turnham, which is Brockley, SE4.
Yep.
Blue
Borough.
Blue Borough, the borough the borough of champions. Yeah. As I said, symbol, look out there. You know, the land of legends. So it was a different time. So if you can imagine, which sounds really weird, I don't really want to say my age, but anyway, I was born in 1974.
Hey, Jesus, let's have a moment of silence for 1974. 74,
Wow,
bruv.
Daddy.
Hey, bruv, you're like experienced and stuff.
I've got a little bit of experience.
No, but big up. Man, look good for his
I'm
age.
trying. I do alright.
For real.
Yeah.
Cocoa butter thing or Astro,
All my young fans have all gone.
74,
Yeah.
but I didn't even actually know. I'll be real. Obviously, I know you a little bit, but before that, I didn't know you was, you know,
Yeah,
like
born-
just old and stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't respect my elders now, bro.
Yeah,
I'm gonna speak to you different from now on.
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I'm saying, sir?
I start calling me uncle. That's what happened. Anyway, so it was just a whole different kind of atmosphere. You could play out. You could actually go out on the block, run up and down. The Venture Playground opposite from where we lived.
Yep.
There was grass. There's houses there now. There was all grass. There was the yellow brick houses that are over there now that weren't there. That was Hurtley Close. That's where originally was, which was on Turnham Road, and they knocked that down, and that was all grass, and then they built those houses. But it was just a different time, and now look at it. Your children can't go out, but I'm not going to go into that yet. But I'll just talk about where we grew up. So I had like Ian Wright.
Yeah.
Living across the road from where we was. Obviously, Rocastle lived further down.
Yeah.
Those were like older guys to us. So we had a lot of older guys. So the older guys where we grew up were kind of, they were going through a completely different thing to what we were dealing. They were dealing with some serious levels of racism.
Yeah.
And even though you look at that, like Broccoli now, and it's properly
multicultural,
gentrified, is the word I'm going to call it. Yeah. When we were growing up, you know, they used to have skinheads and stuff. It was weird. Like I'm thinking that on my first floor, now looking back, they had NF flags. So I lived on a block. I used to go every time I'm walking into my block. Wow. Every time I go into my block, they had the NF flag on the first floor.
Is it weird that you kind of speak about it now and think how weird it must sound, but at the time
I'm
was
just
it just a normal
why
thing?
didn't I just whoop your ass? Like I can't, like I never understood it because I was too young.
Yeah.
You know, and it was just me and my mum. So it was like, shit, my mum done business about that. You know what I mean? My mum was a professional. So it was like growing up and you're going upstairs and you see these NF people. And they used to say things to me, but you're a kid and you don't. I didn't know what a Sambo was.
That's mad that Turnham ever had that kind of thing.
Bro,
when you think about Turnham, mad NF flags. Are you mad?
Bro, there was NF.
Do you think that can happen now?
In Turnham.
Who else was from around the sort of Lewisham borough?
Me.
Yeah. Tell me, Javan, tell me a little bit.
Catford, Lewisham, Forest Hills, where I grew up.
Say the postcode, though. You got to say the postcode now because you said it's
Yeah,
too already. You got to say the thing in it.
Technically, I lived in SE23.
That don't
in
count.
my early stages.
And we won't have no bad talk about Forest
I didn't hang
Hills.
around there. I kind of left you guys. And I was in Lewisham, moved to Lewisham and around there. So yeah, man. But growing up, like I said, it happened in stages. You know, so when I was really young, you could ride your bike around, you go out and about, just mess around. We had that little cinema in Catford as well.
You know that one. You know that.
What's going on?
Round the corner.
I was gonna say, so it was out and about. It was nice. Just it was different when I was younger. But obviously, as I got a bit older, a bit more, you're doing different kind of things. You're venturing out into other areas to do badness and them kind of things. So there's different stages of growing up for me.
What year are you talking about? Because obviously he's talking about like long time ago, yeah. What year are you talking about in terms of growing up in
Early
Lewisham?
late 90s, late 90s in terms of being a little kid riding my bike. Obviously, early 2000s in terms of getting a bit older.
Yeah. So that's good because it kind of shows that even just within this room and around the table, we've got different. I don't want to say generation, car. Yeah, that makes
Bro,
me
that
feel
generation thing, I get up and go along.
now we've got different stages in terms of kind of where we are and where we grew up. Tell me about yourself in terms of growing up, because I know it's a little bit different to the Lewisham SC4, SC6, SC23. Where do you grow up?
But I did grow up in Lewisham as well.
But where was you? Tell me a little bit before that then, and then build into Lewisham.
Yeah, before that. So I came over here when I was about 9, 10. So
I said no.
Hold on. I said no.
Sorry. I heard you say 11 before. Like it wasn't even 11. It was older. You came out older than that. Yeah. Because you came midway through secondary school.
Man's
telling about
it's about 11.
Right. No, it's not 11. That you came in when you was about 13, 14. Because I remember already thinking, wow, why is this dude so tall? Yeah, so
11, 13, but where did you originate from?
1 second, just for everybody's sake. What's the relation here? What's the connection?
This is my blood cousin.
Okay.
So it's not I love this guy.
Yeah. I love the way you said blood cousin. You know when people beg family, like, it's my cousin, dude. You know,
that's why
the two mums are just friends or something.
Because enough man go around saying this is my cousin. I did it,
That's real. That's real.
And
listen, I want to go off on a tangent, but listen, family's family at the end of the day. It don't really kind of matter too much. But yeah, sorry, carry on.
So Rex is my cousin. So I've come over here from Dominica, originally named Wati Kubuli. Before Christopher discovered
with the
it.
history.
You know what I mean? But we grew up there. It was really, really hard. I grew up in a house no bigger than this studio here. If you can see the whole studio, like that was the whole house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was very, very hard. My mom worked 3 jobs, so we hardly ever see her. And if you saw the distance that she had to walk every single day,
Just to go to work.
I didn't appreciate that then. But obviously now, growing up, I was older. Simple things like when I came over here, I see that what the guys were taking for granted. Things like just having shoes to go to school. My mom would tell you the stories. I had no shoes, things like that. You know, your clothing for going to school, mattresses. We slept on sheets on the hardwood. That was it. You know what I mean? Food. Sometimes mom couldn't always feed us, so you would just go to like the neighbors. You know, when you're in the village in the Caribbean, people are very friendly everywhere. So you just go to someone's house. There's always like a one person's house, Auntie Mary's house, where you just go and all the youths them just come there and they get food. You know what I mean? So things like that was very, 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 very hard. It's hard. And then coming over here and just having a different type of lifestyle. The kind of things the guys used to complain about over here. Talking about the ghetto. And I'm like, you guys don't know what ghetto is. There's no electricity.
You're saying that now and I'm thinking, right, like, I thought it was bad for me, bro.
There's no electricity in the house that I grew up in. We didn't have electric and stuff like that. You know, candle lights most of the time.
What
Toilets outside and things like that.
What could you kind of recall back as your lowest moment in terms of your childhood?
Oh, there was a lot. Mostly seeing stuff on television and wanting to be what you see. I remember always wanting to be white.
Serious?
I've been there.
I remember always wanting to be white.
You've been there?
Yeah, bruv.
You wanted to be white?
Yeah.
That's mad. Growing up over here?
For a period of time, I wanted to be white.
Fucking hell.
That's mad.
I'm not surprised by that at all. Just carry on, man.
And it's only because obviously when you see young white children on TV, they always have stuff, you know, they're playing with stuff and all that, and you just think I never seen young black children on adverts and that, so you just think, well, the white kids have everything, so you always want to be that. When they came over as tourists and stuff like that, and they always have things, they always have toys, they got clothes, they got Nike stuff, and you just want that. So for me, I remember just always feeling that I don't want to be, why am I here? I just want to be out in America or wherever else and just be that.
How did your perspective change coming over now? So you've come over to England, Blue Borough, it seems kind of dominated by Lewisham right now. So you come over into Lewisham. How did that change things for you?
Having better opportunities. Just having a better opportunity. I had good support from my family, like my cousin and stuff like that, showing you ways, showing you around. Especially my cousin. My cousin passed away a few years ago. He was like,
like him still.
Rest in peace, bro.
Yeah,
man. Respect, man. Respect. But just moving on. Do you want to tell me a little bit about what your upbringing was like, Darren and Marlon? Respect, man.
For me, boy, just listening to them stories is mad. I don't even feel like mine is even nowhere near that. But yeah, I mean, I don't think I had a bad childhood, if I'm being honest. I think like love to my parents, man, because I think they've done an amazing job. But yeah, I grew up in Lewisham area, Catford area. I haven't really ventured out in terms of where I live. Grew up in that area, and it was when I look back at it, I love my childhood, man. I love it. I mean, there were difficulties in terms of like what a young black child would always face.
Such as what?
Such as like my cousin used to live in Eltham.
Yeah.
And obviously, back in the day, anybody who knows, Eltham was a no-go area.
Mad.
No-go area. So man used to travel up there, go and back my cousin, stay over. We used to play out. Yeah, we used to play out like kicking ball, and 2-2s. You just hear a noise, and you got to run because it's NF. Do you know what I mean? And I'm literally talking like you'd look up the road and you'd just see a bag of white guys chasing you. And I'm like, first time it ever happened, I was like, oh, what? Where they running, guy? And my cousin was like, run. So I'm like, what am I running for? It's like, run.
Was that your first real experience of what you would perceive as racism?
Yeah. Because before, I'd never had any kind of incident where race was an issue. Do you know what I mean? But like, yeah, from there on, and this was like literally right where Stephen Lawrence got killed. That's where basically he lived. right with it. So it was rife. Do you know what I mean? But in regards to my upbringing, I thank my parents, man, and they've kind of showed me how to be a parent because, like I said, when I look back on my childhood, I had a nice childhood. Thundercats. You know what I mean? Lying on all them things there.
I remember Brave Star.
Bruv,
Listen,
I'm telling you,
man,
like,
that's a good
that's
time,
all I
bruv.
remember.
Yeah,
Just
for real.
football, like cartoons, all them kind of things. So for me, it was live. So you'll never hear me saying I've had a bad childhood or anything like that. You know what I mean? But yeah, Blue Bar all day, man.
But this is, see, I didn't even think I had a bad. I don't think I had a bad childhood because it's all I was used to.
So you knew, yeah.
It's all I knew. Yeah, I didn't know any
Normal
better.
is what's
You
normal,
see
innit?
stuff on TV, but then you just get on with it because you know you can't have it or whatever.
Yeah.
So it didn't. I don't think it's still.
You know what's
affected
really
by
interesting? What you were saying about the lack and your mum working free jobs. That my mum was a radiographer, so I never saw my mum growing up because she used to
Mum was
work
the same.
8 till 4, then she'd come in and then she'd be on call. She used to work 18-hour days and then have to get up and go into the morning. And I'm a single child, so I'm on my own.
That's mad.
Like, and when you're saying about going to other people, that you don't even put it on blast, but I'm putting it on blast. Like sometimes we couldn't afford, just like you. And there was that aunt
Question.
that you used to go, yes sir.
So when like you said, because obviously we're going to kind of later on go into kind of like children now, but like you being a single child and your mum being away, like who raised you? What happened during those times where you was on your own?
I kind of raised myself.
Okay.
And the block raises you because then you'd be out.
For real.
Because when I was much younger, the block it used to go all the way around. There was only one way in. And so we was all in there. So I'd be out playing out, wait for her to come back from work. She'd feed me or whatever, and then she'd be gone. And then I'm going to bed, sort myself out. Like you couldn't get away with that now. Social services would be around and take your kids away. Do you know what I mean? You couldn't go. You know, your neighbour would come and check on you, knock the door. You're right. It was just a completely different. You could leave your door open. Basically, I'd leave my door open. I'd be out playing all day. Or if I'd go to school, come back. She'd make sure, and then you learn to cook early because you can't wait. Because you can't wait, or you're starved. So my mum trained me. Like I'm house trained. Like from when I was 9, I was washing my clothes and thinking about like. So but you learn to survive because your mum's learning to survive. You know, and we're going to talk about it later about parents and dads dads not being there, but you just learn to survive. And when you were saying what it is, even just been stuff like that happens here. And I resonated with everything that he was saying about that level of us, but I can't turn around and say I had a bad childhood.
And that's interesting because a lot of people will reflect and you know for people watching they'll think, "Wow, that's hard." And then you turn around at the end of it and say, "But I didn't have a bad childhood." Do you understand what I mean?
It sounds
right,
because
and
of
I
where
think
I am
that's
now.
exactly that. It's because of where you are now. You have an appreciation, and you'll be able to take the good elements out of that. Dwayne, tell us about how you grew up.
For me, I can't say I had it as tough as these guys with regards to not having certain things. Now, my mum got married to what is my sister's dad now, and I had a stepdad from about maybe 6 years old. And he was in the army, so we moved around quite a lot. I had several years where I spent in Germany, which were hell. I was the only black kid in school, and I used to hate it. You come home and you think you're getting away from it. You come home and you're the only black kid on the little close that we lived on. I was the only black kid there. I used to get bullied for being black. And then like one day, my mum, she came outside and got the guy that was bullying me. She held him against the fence and she just made me beat him. So I just beat him.
Yes, mum.
Yes,
mum.
From day. I'll never forget it. But like, it doesn't stop it. Like it still continues. You go to school, you still continue with the same thing. And even when I came away from Germany and I moved to Colchester, it's the same thing. You're just the only black there. And that for me was the hardest part of me growing up. A lot of the time where it was just me, the black kid by myself.
So when you was in Germany, yeah, because like I don't know, what did they? Was it like racism or was it just a lack of understanding? Like black, obviously they generally wouldn't have seen.
Yeah, I think it was a bit of both. Mainly, it's a lack of understanding. They're not accustomed.
They don't see black.
That's what I'm saying.
They don't see many of us. So unless you was on an American base, where the American base you'll see a few more black people. But where my dad stayed and stuff like that, it was just me. And my brother, obviously, but my brother was too young to come outside with me, so it was just me facing all of it. But we just got through it. I did go through a stage where I wanted to be white because that is all I knew. Like it was just white people that are around me, and I wanted to be accepted.
That makes now you've told that story.
Yeah,
It makes sense.
that's
'Cause
what I
before,
was saying. It just
I was
sounds
thinking,
isolated. Yeah.
But now that makes sense.
Yeah, sorry, carry on, bro.
Yeah, so only until when I moved to Deptford is where I then became a bit, because I started in Forest Hill, but I moved very quickly to Germany. So when I came to that Deptford, it's then where I was surrounded by a few more black people, and I obviously became a bit more comfortable with who I am. But it took a while to get to that stage. You know what I mean,
So do you guys experience like being here, like you were saying? Do you experience racism from events that you've had, or do you get told at home by your parents to be careful?
I'm the oldest, so I probably got the worst.
Yeah, well, you possibly,
Yeah,
because I think
you get
over the
told
years
about it.
it's
got
I was
better.
always my mum is very very conscious and very pro-black. I was always made aware of the difficulties that I would receive. Where I grew up as a real youngster, 6, 7, 8, when you kind of talking, I was thinking, where was I at that time? I grew up in Bermondsey, so
damn it, bro.
yeah, so just on the old,
never
I
knew that.
call it Bermondsey, Old Kent Road, so you kind of know where the Asda's is now. So it was kind of at the back there, and it was a massive estate, and I just remember at that point I having no consciousness of my colour or anything. I was just a kid. I was a kid surrounded by other kids, and we was playing, and it was when I was allowed to start playing out and all of those things that I was very, very quickly reminded, you are the black kid. Do you understand what I mean? You are the black kid. You are different. And I just remember getting into arguments, getting into spats, getting into fights all the time, to the point where I got my ass bust one day, like mashed. When I say my face felt like it was hanging off. And at this point, my mum and dad were together. And I remember going upstairs and just bawling my eyes out, just saying, look, they took my bike, and and my dad just said, unacceptable.
Straight.
Unacceptable.
Straight.
You need to get yourself together, clean me up,
Respect to that,
and
mate.
send me back out. He said, come back, and don't come back without the bike.
Fully rating that.
So send back out. And this time now, I'm still shook, and I didn't realise the lesson. I'm just thinking, my dad is the worst person on the planet, because I just need hugs at this point, you know what I'm saying?
Just got your face bust open. How old were you?
I'm talking maybe 7, 8, possibly 9 at this time.
That's a harsh lesson. That's a harsh lesson.
And when I'm saying my face is hanging off at 8 or 9, you probably think your face hanging out. I probably had a little bleed or something. You know what I'm saying? So, sent me back out, and listen, it was at that point where I learned how to stand up for yourself, and it was a thing of, it was just the biggest lesson. I didn't go back out and
that was the day.
no, listen, I didn't go back out and mash anyone up, but it was almost one of them points where it's like, come on then, I'm not having it. Do you understand what I mean? I want my things back, and I want it back now, blah, 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 blah. And it was just a reaction alone, I think, kind of shocked everybody. It was like, well, here you go. You know what I'm saying?
That's what bullies do, though.
Right,
If you don't stand
exactly.
up for them,
It's about preying on the weak. Do you understand what I mean? And I didn't kind of get that until many, many years later. But it was just from that day, I was like, rah, maybe it's because I'm black that they just, they saw that reaction, and you know what I'm saying? So I was like, from that day, like, I'm not having it. You know what I'm saying? I'm just not having it. It's not even that I'm a bad man. It's just like, I'm just not going to no longer be taken for an idiot because of my colour. Look how powerful I am. Do you understand what I mean?
For me, I very much the same. And to answer your question, I was always told from my parents from day dot, you're a black guy, you're going to have to work twice as hard. Anything you do, you're gonna have to do it twice as excellent, for want of a better word.
But was that early? Was that,
bro? From as far as I can remember,
primary school days?
Yeah, I've always, my mum and my dad have always told me that. Like, you're a black you, innit? Like, don't expect a handout. Don't expect anything. Go twice as hard. Do you know what I mean? And the thing about it is just the same. I mean, I was always told, like, if you come home, regardless of whether it was a white person or a black person, whatever, if you come home and you've had a fight or you got into something, don't come home unless you won. Don't come home unless you won.
But you know, that is
bruv.
a Blue Borough thing.
Yeah.
Like, proper, because like where we lived, you don't know Prescott. So we had, you know when I watch Friday, I used to giggle when Debo turned up. We had our own Debo. We had our own Debo called Bresco.
And Debo's a legend.
And wherever,
has a man.
and he used to say stuff to you like, "Don't run." Like, he'd say, "Don't run,"
And you listen.
and you'd have to listen because I remember the one time he made us run. We ran. Me and Tony, they said, ran through the block, ran through Kedwell. Yeah, we got rid of him. My man just jogged. We're tired now, you know. So we're kids, innit? You think you've run really far because he's much older than us, and you run through the block, and he just caught us, and he just said, "You made me run." So he actually picked Tony up and sat Tony on the wall. Said, "Sit there."
Fuck this, bro.
Yeah, no. He said, "Sit there." I can't even begin to tell you the beating that I was getting from this youth. Like the way he was punching me up, dead legs, dead arms, all of this, boom, 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 boom. Then he's finished with me. I'm rolling around on the floor. Then he's took Tony off the wall. Done the same to him. I've gone home and complained to. I think my aunt was living at the house at the time, and she was like, "Nah, go back out." So me and Tony just tried to rush him. You know what I mean? Like, we just tried to rush him. We tried to rush him. No, don't get it wrong. Like we got fucked up. But after that, he was like, "Yeah, you got a bit of heart. You got a bit of heart.
Yeah,
You got a bit of heart."
and you have to rate that.
Yeah. No, he still used to say, "Don't run." When he used to see us and still beat us up, like, was standing trying to get a dead leg. Just take the dead leg. But you know what I mean? That whole thing about don't come back in without losing was.
I think that kind of builds resilience. You know what I'm saying? And,
character building.
And it's just that fighting spirit that you need to have through life. And I don't think you understand the lessons you're getting at that point. Yeah. But it just then lives inside you.
I didn't know you grew up in Bermondsey. Like I would hate to grow up. I just hate to grow up in Bermondsey.
I was probably, I'm trying to think of the years. Jesus Christ. We're talking obviously 80s.
I always thought you came from Hackney until like late.
How long was you in Bermondsey for?
So I must have been in Bermondsey is where I can kind of remember my main child. That's where I went to primary school. I went to primary school in St Saviour's in Borough.
And you went with G? Is that where you went to school with G?
No. That came a little bit later on. So probably from about 9 until. No, sorry, I'm saying earlier than that. From around when I was about 6 or 7 until about 11 is where I stayed in Bermondsey on Old Kent Road.
Good amount of years, man.
Yeah, so
because them times there, probably because you was a child as well, that was probably a bit different for you. Because when I was growing, obviously I would have been older than you. Bermondsey was a no-go area. Like, and
bro,
like,
even
there was
in our years.
We know, but he was 11 though, so they ain't gonna do the things like. Man, they were busting straps on man back then. Like, because you know, like they weren't scared of us. Like you'd go. I remember going to other areas. Like, I used to go
that was their area. You know, like there's certain areas you could go with. Like you got a mix.
No, you could fight man in Eltham, but you couldn't go Bermondsey. Like my aunt used to live in Eltham, so I'd scuff man in Eltham all day long.
Eltham was a no-go.
No, the bus man said in Eltham.
I didn't know about these things.
But Bermondsey,
I didn't know about them things until I went secondary school. I didn't know about areas you couldn't go to until secondary school. Until you started, because so you know we didn't get to me, but so I grew up in Hither Greens, and so initially my family's from Hillsworth Road and them sides there, Lewisham, and one half was pretty much Brockley. So I grew up. First house was in Lewisham and everything. Then we quickly moved to Hither Green. I lived there for years. What was that? I don't cuss Hither Green, you know. No, don't cuss Hither Green.
Hither
Green is the private area of Lewisham.
Yeah. That's right. Leafy district.
That's right.
It's
like a little cul-de-sac.
That's right.
I grew up in Hither Green, and like my dad's family was always like Brockley side, so used to go down Brockley. My godmother lived in Turnham, so it's like when I used to grow up in Hither Green. To go with Dwayne, I hate to say it, Hither Green was kind of dead. Hither Green was kind of dead. Like I had like my family, like you know, I had cousins down the road. I had my boy across the road, but apart from that, Hither Green was kind of dead. Like it's one road. Hither Green's pretty much one road. That's why you ain't going to them shops. There is nothing else. Mountsfield Park. Catford try and claim Mountsfield Park, but Mountsfield Park was kind of Hither Greens as well.
No. It's Catford. They have an entrance in Hither Green. There's one entrance in Hither Green, but it's Catford. You lot got the Mad Home. Mad Home used to be up there.
I leave the home. But yeah, I used to be in Hither Green, and whenever I used to go to like my nans and whatever, I used to never want to leave Brockley. I used to like.
the day my mum started allowing me to go to Brockley on my own was like, it was like I was given life. Like, yes, man, cycling to Brockley, walking to Brockley. Like, it didn't matter how I was getting there, I'd get to Brockley. And the moment we could go down Turnham, like first couple times down Turnham, Turnham is a daunting place. Like when you go there and you're not from there.
You're not from there,
yeah. And you don't know. So like, I'd go there with my sister and my girl cousin, my boy cousin. Like, there'd be the four of us, and we'd roll there, and we was just ourselves. Like, we couldn't really kind of we couldn't integrate with no one else. We was just on our own. And then I'd used to be there and see everyone else like kind of like socializing and be like, I just want to live in Turnham. I just want to be here. Like, and the thing is, I can't like the guys that said, like, no, my cousin had like a hard childhood. I grew up in a house that was way too big for us. Yeah. It was like it was more a family. It was supposed to be for a bigger family. My dad was supposed to be there, but he wasn't. And the three of us in the house, it was too big. And it's like, I didn't really fully appreciate what, like, the size of our house. Like, I'm not even joking. Our kitchen was huge. Yeah. Like man could play football in the kitchen. We played computer in the kitchen. We ate in the kitchen.
To the house and I got you gave me the Super Nintendo. That was the best thing. Seriously. That was the best thing that happened to me when I came here, bro. Yeah. You gave me Super Nintendo with
that was life.
Mario Kart. No, not Mario Kart. What's that football game?
ISS.
ISS. Bro, for me, by that time, Marlon weren't even. When I came to his house, I always just used to think, why are you not constantly playing this? I couldn't understand, because for me, it's the first time I'm seeing any kind of computer games and anything like that. You know what I mean? They had them in the Caribbean, but you'd have to go way in the town to play that. And then they used to just pass you a controller through a window. So you pay like 50 cents and then pass your controller and you play like one round and then that would be it, and they take the controller away. So you couldn't really...
Mad. Not even an arcade, you know, like the controller, that's mad.
So when I came and Marlon just hold that. Bruv, that was life for me. I spent hours and hours of my life on Super Nintendo. Simple little things like that.
Man, have to pay 50 cents.
Simple little things. He couldn't understand why. Remember, every time he used to come to the house, he's like, why are you always playing this? For me,
let me just move on. I want you to tell me a little bit about some of the obstacles that you might have faced in your childhood. And also, just to kind of expand as well, could your parents have done anything more?
Well, boy, for me, I had a nice childhood when I was younger, and I fast up myself in it. I want to get on the bus and go down to New Cross. I want to go Brockley. I was from Forest Hill, Catford originally, but I want to get on the bus and get into trouble. So got into problem. My mum had to go through a lot. Obviously, I got stabbed, had my skull fractured. I got into a lot of war. A lot of it's like, I guess I was running to what many man was running from. That makes sense. I wasn't from that, so I was running towards it. And that's I remember meeting certain girls.
What you like, for me, like growing up, I didn't want to get involved in that. My mum will bust my ass, but like, weren't you scared of that?
Nah, it wasn't that. My mum wasn't. My mum was not like that. I was too.
It was nice.
It wasn't like that. So I wanted to become. There was like the prettiest girls when I was younger. They wanted the bad man. Yeah. I'm like, right, like, they're saying I'm cute, but I can't get her. Yeah. She wants him. Okay, so what? But he's doing this and that. So if I do that, I can get her. So I'm saying, yo. So I'm trying to fast up myself. I'm getting into shit. Before you know it, boy, it becomes your life, isn't it? You got a lot of, go through a lot. And my mum, man, I made her cry so much, and I feel really bad about that. But could she have done more?
So what was you? Like you was on road doing a lot.
But when we was younger, before money come into it, when we was young, it was just warring, fighting, warring. We were going Woolwich, we were going Penge, we were going Peckham, we were warring, isn't it?
And that's the thing nowadays, because my thing is that youth today, it is about money from no matter what age. Whereas before, like, I was never in madness, but like, I knew I could get into trouble and whatever, and I knew if I ran with certain people, I'd
I knew that certain people came with a certain amount of trouble.
Yeah.
But that trouble wasn't necessarily money driven.
Yeah, that's
it was just bad.
Just to fight,
It was
just to fight.
like.
Like football hooligans, just want to fight to fight.
It's like you know what I'm saying.
It was just a rep.
About
It was a territorial thing as well.
You know what's
Right?
funny? You could say back then. You could say, parents said to you, "Boom, go back and fight him. Boom, stand your ground." See,
You know,
this
it's
day,
just a fight,
you
you
could
can't
say
say
that.
that.
See, today it's funny because today you can't say to a kid, you can't say to a kid, "Oh yeah, go back and get your things. Go back and
Just the
stand your
child's
ground."
dead.
Because things are real. Things are much realer now. I think that's one of the main differences between back then and now. Do you understand that? I think
lose
that's
life real quick,
Fisticuffs.
mate.
yeah,
Fisticuffs
man.
was normal.
I like that. Look, don't get me wrong. At the time, I hated it. I hated the thought of getting my head bust. But at least it was just that. Like I knew if I can't hold my own against that guy, I just can't hold my own. Like I would try, but I just can't.
But
I knew I wasn't gonna get stabbed. I knew I'd go into it. I fight another day.
You might get
But-
bottled at worst, innit?
Yeah, to think of, like, you know how mad that is. Like even to the point when we got to secondary school, getting bottled was really
That was
It was a big thing.
was
That was a big-
like,
that was
the
that was the height.
But it's really weird because
It's
it's really weird you say that because I saw my first dead body at 12
No.
We were all playing
I
out.
see that.
and it was a shooting. We were all playing in the next block down, and we heard the banging. But we're kids. We're playing football. You don't
know what that is.
We don't know what that is. We hear bang, bang, bang. It's like, oh, someone's dropped something upstairs. We've seen the two youths running downstairs. Men though, they might have been younger, running downstairs, and then we were all playing football. And then next minute now, police have come, and then them times there, they never used to cover up. There wasn't no investigation. They used to just drag the body out.
Yeah.
And it was my friend. It was our friend's uncle, and he was just there on the trolley thing. So there were shootings going on back then, but
That's
they
high
just
skill,
weren't.
man.
So, but it was
Yeah.
adults
Yeah.
killing other adults over things.
It weren't youths.
And like
It-
even
it
like
wasn't-
the
it
first,
wasn't our
and like
world.
the first stab, it weren't our world. Like
that's
all of us used to fight. Like everybody knew if you were from Turnham, you could scuff. That was just the standard thing. It was just standard. Everybody from because you granted Prescott beating you up every day. It was standard. And it was like I think it was, and I'll say this about like going and looking for war. It for me, it was like the Peckham youths that started the knifing thing because nobody was stabbing.
They were on it.
They were on
it,
this
they were
stabbing
on
because I
it.
remember like certain Peckham youths were small, like Titch and all. They were tiny guys, and like you're trying to fight them guys from Lewisham, and some of them Lewisham guys were big. Like Luke and all them guys, they're big guys. So actually, they figured out like, well, let's level this playing field. Like, let's level the playing field now because I can't fight. I'm 5'6".
stabbing.
You're 6 foot ting, and they just started stabbing, and then it went from the stabbing, and then it went the guns. Now the guns are leveler. I don't even want to go down that route right now, but I'm saying that gun thing just the gun thing just leveled the whole playing field.
Yeah, no, 100%. And listen, it's rife right now.